Can AI, artificial intelligence, ever be as creepy as your boss? Well, that primarily depends on how creepy your boss is, of course. Many people don't have creepy bosses or managers, so in those circumstances, it is safe to assume that AI may at least seem creepier than their bosses because artificial intelligence or big data, as it could and will be used in the workplace, may monitor our everyday moves, go through our emails, scrape our video communications, and even sense where we are and who we relate to, who we talk to, what we say, and etc., etc., etc. Everything we do online leaves a digital footprint, and the fact that an algorithm could analyze and scrape that data to understand us better, maybe even predict us better, and maybe influence our behavior does sound a bit creepy, let's face it. On the other hand, for those who are unfortunate enough to work for a creepy boss or manager, I would argue that AI, artificial intelligence, might never be as creepy as those people. It might never out-creep creepy managers, creepy human managers. Why is that? Well, for three main reasons. The first is that even if AI seems creepy, you're unlikely to be sexually harassed by an algorithm anytime soon. And that is something that creepy human managers do quite often. So I'm not sure we're going to see many reports of sexual harassment. AI is capable of textual harassment, but that's not quite the same. So the reality is that computers don't need to unleash their repressed sexual tendencies to bully employees, harass them, intimidate them, or utilize their power for their own gain and at the detriment of other more vulnerable people. So that's the most important reason. The second reason is that artificial intelligence, well trained, could be trained to attend to the relevant signals of talent or potential. So it could be trained to pay attention to indicators that actually correctly or accurately signal that an employee is doing a good job. The words that people use, their frequency of communication, even contextual data that doesn't involve or require computers, let alone humans, to really read or what people are saying or get into their minds or brains. So correctly trained, if trained to predict relevant outcomes of performance, so key performance indicators, not whether somebody will be liked by another human or unfairly promoted into political, mischievous and parasitic organizational culture, but really to predict whether somebody is making a valuable contribution to the system, to the organization or the group or team. That's something that AI can do better than humans. It's very hard for humans to do this, especially at scale, when they're managing in a virtual world and they're having to really know what a big team of people dispersed around the world is doing, and to do that consistently, because even if humans have learned to do this properly, which would require a lot of competence, expertise, and intelligence really, plus the will to do it in an unbiased and fair way, it's very hard to do it day after day. Managers can get carried away, they can have a bad day, an off day, they can be hungover, they can be tired, or they can be overly happy because good things happened in their personal life. And the third and equally important point is that unlike humans, artificial intelligence, AI, can be trained to ignore a lot of the features that increasingly, as we're trying to make our organizations more ethical, more pro-social and more fair, should be ignored by humans, but humans find very hard to ignore. For instance, demographic information about the person's gender, age, ethnicity, nationality, social class, attractiveness. All these things are very hard to ignore by humans. Even if you put people through intense unconscious or conscious bias training, they cannot suddenly suppress this information from the person in front of them. We all use these schemas, these categories to understand what people are like and to make heuristic inferences about others based on factors that are often misleading. And by the way, when humans do this, and we do this a lot, we're very uncomfortable acknowledging or admitting that we were wrong later on. So as many of you will have heard, confirmation bias is very pervasive. So if I hire someone because they are attractive, then I will probably not want to see that they weren't very helpful or productive or performing very well in their job. I will continue persuading myself that that person is a star employee and a high potential. Equally, if I didn't want to hire someone because of their ethnicity, gender, or age, I will look for a lot of indicators that that person is a fluke and not performing well at their job later on. So AI can ignore the stuff that should be ignored, but humans have trouble ignoring. It can pay attention to the stuff that we should attend to, but it's very hard to do at scale for humans, especially in a consistent, reliable way. And most importantly, AI will not sexually harass you, bully, or intimidate you. It is just a computer, and algorithms are told to do what we want them to do.